There are over 500,000 unfilled roles in the technology sector, and with the uncertainty swirling around the H-1B visa, that number is sure to grow. For Tech Republic and ZDNet, I'm Dan Patterson, and we're speaking today with Sharp Decision CEO Karen Ross and the role veterans may be able to play in filling the technology skills gap. Karen, I wonder if we could begin by kind of defining what this skills gap is and who this impacts, whether it's SMBs, startups, or large enterprise companies.
The skill gap is not as great as people think. But there is, with the lack of H-1Bs right now, with the decline of that, what's occurring is the veterans are, as they're transitioning out, the boots on the ground are having trouble finding appropriate work for the equivalent of what they've done in the military. The skills gap exists in most of the development and the programming. The issue is that you have to understand their MOS, or what they have done, their job function within the military, to be able to translate that properly within the workplace. There is a huge disconnect. Remember, military is very methodical, it's very logical, and when you start asking, and there is direction, so you're taking orders. When you start asking them to think abstractly, and you're talking more of the boots on the ground, you start asking them to think abstractly. Like in certain coding, you need to either have more time, more patience, but you need to retrain. What is the issue for many of these corporations to retrain the veterans into a skill set or a gap, which is really needed? A lot of it is in programming skills. We're seeing this more and more. The officers that you find coming out and transitioning out, their skill gap is that they no longer have 20,000, 200, 5. They don't have the personnel. They're not responsible for the same numbers of personnel. And also, they're dictated by even higher ups. So what I think is important is that we need to train the veterans. We need to do more and a better job than just the TAP program or the program that helps them as they're leaving. We need to give them the technical training and the understanding of what the civilian world is looking for. It is a huge disconnect. And what we have found in over 4 years of this program is we have found that they are absolutely capable of learning and understanding. Their training is impeccable. And there's one thing that is a huge difference for what we're doing at Sharp Decisions versus what most of the civilian world is doing, is we are training them in teams, cohorts, squads, call it as you wish. We are training them together, and we are deploying them in their first position as our employees together. That is how they are deployed in combat, or theater. That is how they are deployed with Sharp Decisions. And we are finding that the retention rate is unprecedented compared to putting one veteran in one seat, in one position in a large organization. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, please continue.
We supply a mentor to be part of that cohort. And the mentor is there for any of the issues that may come up. It will be on-the-job training if it's necessary. The key for this is that you need to create an environment which they're comfortable with and they can call to each other. That is critical for the success of the program.
And Karen, what skills do veterans have that make them particularly qualified to help technology and enterprise companies?
Well, first of all, let's look at what the military consists of. Let's understand that it is not just pull and shoot or aim and shoot. It is more, it's all technologically advanced. Let's think of what we do with the drones. Let's think of how we do with even the tanks, anything that we're using, convoys. Let's think of the technology that is critical for what they're accomplishing. We have the naval navigations, we have the communications, and of course, the cyber warfare. We've got the cyber programs. They are entrusted with interpreting and responding to the most sensitive military intelligence, given especially what we're dealing with right now. And in saying that, they are absolutely quick on thinking and able to prioritize the needs of the team, communicate it directly and succinctly, and review and evaluate their work to achieve that they need to achieve for continuous improvement. They're always getting better. If you look at the focus right now, there's now cyber. So these veterans that are transitioning, they are cyber. We have done incredibly well with our veterans that are transitioning. We put them through a boot camp, which is 4 to 6 weeks. We train them, and they have been absolutely fantastic. This is, it's a cohesive team. They learn together. They adapt really, really quickly to the changing circumstances and any of the challenge that are facing companies. Because remember, it's not life or death. It's money. It's deliverable. It's a very different proposition, value add. So as far as I can tell you, in the last 4.5 years, we have trained well over 200 veterans. And the biggest problem that we have is that our clients love them so much that after a period of time, they're hiring them from us. Lovely problem.
A great problem indeed. Karen Ross is the CEO of Sharp Decisions. Karen, I understand you've grown the amount of veterans in your company from 0 in 2013 to over 25% now in 2017. I wonder if you could leave us with a few pieces of advice for other companies looking to do the same. What's the best place to get started, and what's the best place to deploy veterans inside a company?
The best place to well, first of all, let's pick one thing. They are employed. Many of this is the lowest employment, or most of the veterans today are employed. This is the lowest unemployment within veterans that we've seen in decades. What's proven to work is we need to evaluate. We need to train the people to evaluate what they have done in the military and be able to prioritize, understand, and translate that into the civilian world. We need to also, since they can thrive in a corporate environment, we need to train them in cohorts. You can't train one individually and deploy them in cohorts. They rely on each other. Everybody has their own back. They haven't learned the civilian, if you will, quote unquote, games that many of the civilians play. They are very familiar with working as a unit in squads. This allows them to adjust and be a part of the civilian world.